Britain is supposed to be smoke-free by 2030, but the date is an acute danger. Radical demands are therefore becoming louder, and the government is initially focusing on one product in particular. You will remember Winston Churchill as a war winner and Nobel Prize winner for literature, and a bad role model when it comes to the government in London. The British will no longer go through life smoking, as the famous statesman once did, by 2030 at the latest. So smoke-free is the goal, and this means that in England, the largest part of the country, a maximum of 5% of adults will still use cigarettes or e-cigarettes. The trend actually looks good. The number of smokers in Great Britain has been falling for years. In 2022, it was still 12.9% of adults. That was around 6.4 million people, but significantly fewer than a decade earlier when 19.6% smoked. But experts warn that the 2030 target will now be clearly missed. A smoke-free England is not expected until 2037 at the earliest, an independent report said last year. Taxes on cigarettes rose significantly again in the spring by more than 12%. Since then, a pack of 20 smoking sticks has cost an average of £14.39, around twice as much as here in Germany. But the government is leaving it at that for now, so municipalities are now pushing ahead. Councillors from 16 London boroughs called for smoking to be banned in all seating areas outside pubs and restaurants in a letter to Health Secretary Steve Barclay and Local Government Secretary Michael Gove. Smoking is a huge burden on many of our most deprived communities, costing our city £3 billion every year in lost economic productivity and health and social care costs. Jim Dixon, councillor for the Lambeth Capital District, told that to a British newspaper. A corresponding addition to a law already exists. There is a clear consensus among the public that outdoor eating and drinking areas should be free from cigarette smoke, was said by George Young, who introduced the proposal in the House of Lords. A few local authorities, including the major cities of Manchester and Newcastle, have already implemented the idea because they did not want to wait for a national regulation. According to the Action on Smoking and Health initiative, almost 2/3 of people support a ban on smoking in seating areas outside pubs, restaurants, and cafes. Smoking has not been allowed inside restaurants since 2007. If the independent investigation report is anything to go by, the government should take even more radical action. There is a proposal. The sales age, currently 18, should be increased by 12 months every year until no one can buy a tobacco product in this country anymore, they wrote. The government has so far relied on initiatives. In April, it announced a world's first pilot project to encourage 1 million smokers to swap their butts for e-cigarettes. But some experts, the so-called vapes, are seen as an introduction to the exit. The 22 investigation report also emphasized, we know that e-cigarettes are not a miracle cure and are not completely risk-free, but the alternative is far worse. According to Cancer Research UK, 500,000 hospital admissions each year in England are related to smoking. The cost to the economy is therefore £17 billion per year. However, the promotion of vapes is primarily aimed at adult smokers. For young people, on the other hand, disposable e-cigarettes, which are often bright and trendy and easy to hide, and which look like lipstick, are seen as a gateway drug. Critics are of the opinion that a fruity, sweet vapor, which often contains nicotine, is more likely to target minors. E-cigarettes are not a risk-free product and are just as addictive, if not more so, than conventional cigarettes, warns the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health. Vapes have become an epidemic among minors. In 22, around 15.5% of 16 to 24-year-old vaped, significantly more than the previous year at 11.1%. And the warnings have now reached the government. As the Telegraph newspaper reported, disposable e-cigarettes are to be banned. Science Minister Michelle Donnellan did not deny the plan. Rather, the Conservative politician spoke on Sky News about a very worrying trend. Young people who have never smoked before would start vaping. And to be honest, I mentioned this when we had the topic on my videos before. I was a strong cigarette smoker in the past, and I switched to an e-cigarette with sticks. I never. I wanted to do that much earlier, but at the time where there only were vapes with the liquids, I got terrible headaches and coughs from that stuff. Why ever? I don't know what's in there, but wherever I tried, I couldn't stand it. But since we have the newer versions nowadays, I could switch. It's still not healthy. Smoking is never healthy. But indeed, it is better than smoking normal cigarettes. I can agree to that and tell you that I made the experience myself. Because you have to be honest. If you smoke normal cigarettes for decades, you have smokers coughing every morning. Mine is gone since I switched. So it is a better alternative. But the best alternative is, of course, not to smoke at all. But that's a challenge I haven't mastered in my life yet. But I must say it's a good thing. But I'm absolutely against those disposable e-cigarettes. Just think about all the trash this produces for no reason. And so they have to be banned everywhere. I'm absolutely going along there with that thought, because that is just waste production, and there are a lot of alternatives that are not as attractive for the youth. That's why a lot of stuff is banned in the EU already. They are still the transitional periods that the member states have time and stuff like that, but it's already made in law, and nobody needs that stuff. And so that is, of course, very attracting to the youth. I saw a very good report on one of those things. I honestly forgot the brand, and so I can't tell you, but from the USA. And they were doing really fancy advertising and stuff. It looked really good. But because of that, a lot of people in school started smoking these things. And so they were blamed for targeting especially the youth, and got in trouble with that. But that is exactly what we don't need. Smoking is bad. Yeah, I'm not promoting smoking. Smoking is really bad. The only thing I can tell you, if you still smoke normal cigarettes, try to switch to one of the alternatives, because from my personal experience, it is not healthy, but is healthier than normal cigarettes. I feel better. And if I would be smoking normal cigarettes still with my long COVID issues, oh, that would have kicked me. But my doctor, by the way, was very happy when I told her about the switch at the time when I did that, because she knows I will not manage to quit smoking that easily, completely. But she was happy for the switch. So the worst thing to do is still normal cigarettes. But if you are not smoking and watching this, never get started with it. Seriously. And if you want to know more about Brexit, UK politics, or the EU, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.